Hi everyone, my name's Kristen. I also go by Ms.Filmingo, and thanks for clicking on this video. Today I'm happy to share my exclusive interview with Heidi Levitt. You may know her from being an amazing producer and casting director, but she's the writer and director behind the documentary Walk With Me, a very important documentary that I think needs to be seen by many audiences that shines a light on Alzheimer's disease. And I'm happy I got to connect with Heidi to speak about her film and learn more about it. But before we do, let me give you all a brief synopsis of the film. Walk With Me follows Charlie Hess and his wife Heidi Levitt over 4 years as they navigate the challenges of his early onset Alzheimer's disease. I got to have my interview with Heidi a couple days ago. I really enjoyed our discussion, and let's cut over to my interview to speak with her. So, thank you, Heidi, for joining me today. It was wonderful to see your documentary, and I want to first start off by asking, how are you doing? How is Charlie doing, and how's your entire family doing?
Right now, it's kind of complicated because we were moving around a lot. So you saw
Right.
the movie, and we were living in Vermont half the year in the country in a very beautiful rural place. And now I'm back in Los Angeles.
Okay.
And so it was kind of a lot for me to move this time back with him because every change for a person with dementia is kind of challenging, like
Yeah.
where am I, what's going on. And I honestly am not sure how the next year of of our life will be in that way because it might be too much. We might not be able to have this bicoastal life that we
Yeah.
developed during making the movie.
Yeah.
Um, but he is very emotionally present.
Oh,
He's very much knows what's going on, and the hard part is that he knows his losses.
yeah.
And you meet one person with dementia, they'll say you met one person, right? Everybody's story is completely different. You saw in the movie, my mom is in the movie as well, and she also has possibly it's Alzheimer's too. That's the other thing. It's very difficult to diagnose these diseases exactly. And thankfully, our scientific research is getting better at doing that. But it's still, there's many types of dementia. Alzheimer's is just the most common form. So we tend to,
Right.
and I don't think it's worth even getting caught up in what they have and the label,
Hmm.
because really there's no drug to solve
Yeah.
it. And the reason to get the diagnosis is so that when they do get the drug that we know, oh, this one is for Lewy body, this is for frontal temporal dementia, this is for regular Alzheimer's disease. So that said, it's day by day,
Hmm. That's
and that's
understandable.
just the way to be.
And Rusto is still hanging in.
Resto came home last night, which was amazing. We have this great guy who drives Resto back and forth with all of our stuff across the country. So he came last night, which
He's
was
family.
really,
He's got to hang with his best
yeah,
buddy.
yeah,
Oh, I'm glad to
exactly.
hear that. So you've done some amazing things with your career from producing and being a casting director. What was it like stepping into the director's chair and saying, I want to take control of this story and I want to shine a light on something that is very important right now?
You know, it was the one thing that I could do. That's
Yeah.
where I felt like I can't solve this problem, but I can talk about this problem. I can make a story about this problem. And as much as I felt we were hiding behind this diagnosis, I knew many, many, many other people were also because it's hard to talk about. It's hard
Yeah.
to face. And the thing that I realized really far down into the process was how much my experience as a casting director really helped me
Hmm.
because I'm used to getting performance. My job is when I invite actors to an audition, I want to give them the best audition. I want to make sure that maybe they're going to shine for the director to choose them, right?
Right.
So I understood sort of how to get a scene going in a way that I didn't realize. And I
Hmm.
relied on a lot of my skill set. And I think it's really appropriate that this year is the first year that there'll be an Oscar given to a casting director.
Yeah, which is so exciting.
And so I'm very excited that my movie's coming out in this same time because I think casting is also sort of an unsung hero of
Yeah.
filmmaking. And I feel like I even was emailing with Oliver Stone. I worked with him for like, more than a decade. And I was emailing him to come to the screening this weekend. And I said, so much of how I directed the movie was from taking pieces from every director I worked with to see
Aw.
what they do it.
Yeah. So one thing I saw that catch my attention right away was a wonderful quote by Maya Angelou. Why did you want to use that quote for the film? Because I think it's a wonderful quote that takes place and gets like a little audiences into the feel of what we're about to dive into. Why
Thank
did
you.
you choose that?
I chose that because, first of all, it was said to me, even though I had probably read it somewhere, but it was said to me by Dr. Marie Pazinski, who's a neurologist at Mass General. And understanding a neurologist understands the brain in, ways that we as lay people don't. But one of the most incredible things that I still feel like I want to explore even more deeply is that maybe Charlie forgets how to brush his teeth,
Yeah.
but he doesn't forget how you made him feel.
Yeah.
And we don't forget how we feel from how people interacted with us. Feelings are what's important, right?
Hmm.
Not necessarily the accomplishment. How did you feel from this? What
Right.
did it make you feel? And I wanted people to enter this movie with that idea because it's not about what he can and can't do that will remain in his legacy. It's really more about how did he make you feel?
Yeah. And you certainly make audiences feel so many emotions. What was the most difficult interview? I don't want to put it like difficult, like hard, but like emotionally difficult.
I think the biggest challenge for me was with my children.
Right. Yeah. And
Because I didn't realize how vulnerable I was asking them to be. Like I was always in the family, the person with the video camera. That's why a lot of the archival, it's me shooting it because I always was that because I'm a casting director and I
yeah.
had a video camera like since they were, the old huge ones. I was going around always shooting people. So when I sat down with my son and had that conversation because I realized how much he didn't know who his dad was,
Yeah.
that was really tough because I want them to know. And I realized like he's 25 years old. And even though the disease started when maybe officially he was 18, it was existing for 7 or 8 years before that. I mean,
Yeah.
Alzheimer's doesn't just happen, I say it creeps in. It
Yeah.
happens slowly over time.
Right. It does. And I'm surprised to hear your son was 18 when your husband was diagnosed.
Yeah, he was just about 18. Yeah.
Wow. And this was a long process that you go over with the film. How long did filming take place? Because I believe filming started in 2019, correct?
Yeah, it started at the very end of 2019 and I finished at the very beginning of 2024. So it
Okay.
was really 4 and a little bit, 4.5 years.
Wow. And
That was important because I had not seen a story over time, right? I wanted to show the effect over time.
right. And one thing you've done a lot is a ton of research. You bring in this wonderful doctor that we see that connects with Charlie. And what was the research like? How much research did you learn? And what was the most surprising fact that you learned from doing all this research?
I love doing research. That's again my casting director background, so much. I feel like we're cultural anthropologists in a way of understanding character and people, and I just dove in. The most upsetting thing to learn was that there was nothing I could really do.
Hmm.
So the research kept digging me into holes, and like there'd be holistic people saying, try, this supplement and that supplement. And I hate the fact that like on television today you have, ads all the time
Right.
about, Prevagen and different things. And like they lead people to think that they're going to change things and they're not.
Yeah.
Okay. They're not really. Maybe for
Right.
some people starting very early, yes, taking the right amount of lion's mane and magnesium or whatever, but they're not cures. Like there isn't a cure. And learning that there's now a lot we can do for brain health to
Yeah.
make it better. And but it's like if the disease is active and these tangles have exploded, there's really not yet anything to do. And so I think the research taught me that, and then the research taught me of like being aware of like the diagnosis is not the end of the story. There's
No.
still a lot of living.
Yeah. And you've taken this film to all sorts of film festivals. I saw you brought it to AFI. What's it been like connecting with other audiences and sharing this film with them?
Well, that's what's been incredible is sharing the film because the audience, like last year at AFI Fest, was amazing, and it was like a standing ovation and
Oh.
people coming up and hugging Charlie. And then a lot of people, what the audience reaction taught me more is how much I need to advocate for caregivers and shine a light on caregivers. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think of myself as a caregiver. Like, that's a hard word to say, like care partner, caregiver. Like, what the heck is that? I
Yeah.
am a wife, a casting
Yes.
director, a mother, a daughter, all of these things. But I need to point out that I am a caregiver.
Yeah.
This is an unpaid part of the economy. I've read things from 600 billion in unpaid care to a trillion.
Yeah.
This is part of our society, and we don't talk about it, and we need to change the culture because
Right.
it needs to be not only the caregivers, the unpaid caregivers, but even the caregivers that are paid need to be valued as an essential job. And
Mm-hmm.
not only an essential job, just part of changing the way that we create a more empathetic and inclusive society. I put it this way, if you were completely handicapped and your legs didn't work and you were in a wheelchair, by law, there's a ramp to get you to that
Right.
school building. There is no ramp for a person with dementia, right?
Yeah.
You look at Charlie and you're like, oh, he looks great. He's fine. Okay, but he doesn't know where the step is necessarily, or how, which is the fork and which is the knife. Like, how do we create a culture that would allow him to live as fully as possible, but with some assistance?
Mm-hmm.
Hard.
I love that you said right now we need to honor caregivers. They need more support. They need more spotlight. So I appreciate you acknowledging that. And I also want to say, Charlie deserves a hug, but you deserve a hug as well for what you are shining a light on. And I want to go back into your casting field directors world. Do you think there's a film right now that's been released over the years that shows a good light on Alzheimer's disease, like in the narrative world, not in the documentary world?
Well, I really do think that Lisa Genova's book that became a film, Still Alice,
Yeah,
opened the door. And I like to say that we're Still Alice Part Two. And I've said that to Lisa too, because we're the real story.
yeah.
Some ways, Still Alice was a bit clean.
Mm-hmm.
But Julianne Moore won an Oscar for that
Yeah, she
film.
did.
And I think it did open the door to talk about it. There are some other films out there right now that are interesting, that are dealing with dementia as well. Kathleen Chalfant, who's a wonderful actress, is in a movie right now, and the title is escaping me. Um, but it's very interesting. And the thing is that I think that there's more stories, but I have to say that most of the stories that I've seen are the same sad story.
Yeah,
I don't, I want to change that story in a sense of, okay, yeah, this is sucks, okay?
yeah,
But everybody has something, right? Somebody might get cancer, somebody might get, a different kind of disease. Like we all have something. But what I feel we have to do is change the way that we're looking at our cultural world and society because we live in a culture that's obsessed with youth,
yeah,
that is averse to aging. Like
yeah,
we all break down, our bodies will break down, our brains will break down to a certain extent. This is a disease. This is not just like losing a little bit of memory and the brain shrinkage. It's a disease.
yeah,
But it's tied into the fact that we are afraid to face the fact that we have an expiry date and something's going to happen. to everyone.
Right.
How can we change our storytelling? Doesn't just need, oh, poor Heidi and Charlie, this is so sad. I don't want that. I
Yeah.
want to just show you, okay, this bomb dropped in my family. It could drop in its 55 million other families, growing exponentially. How do we change the way that we live? How do we look at the world a little bit differently?
Right.
Because we need to be more inclusive as a society.
Yeah, we do. And my final question for you is, what advice do you have to families also going through this experience that you are dealing with?
Yeah, my advice is reach out for help as soon as possible because nobody's going to have an answer. There's no quick fix, but there are wonderful ways to guide you through and make this life that you're leading as rich as possible. Every day is never going to be a good day,
Mhm.
especially in a disease where you're talking about people where you can't logically sometimes explain why they're acting one way or the other. But there needs to be support, and that's what today I was published in USA Today about my third act as a caregiver, and that
Mhm.
is acknowledging I need help. Even mighty Heidi, who has navigated her parents' care from across the country, and my husband's care, and my business and my life, I can't do this alone.
Yeah, yeah. But I was
And
gonna,
I need to open that door.
yeah, I was gonna say I really enjoyed the piece on USA Today. I was gonna acknowledge that as we wrapped up and say thank you so much. You really are a superstar for everything that you're
Oh,
just
thank you.
going through right now. You are very inspiring. Thank you for sharing this film with everybody, and I hope everyone gets to go check it out. So thank you.
Thank you. One more thing. There are different caregiving organizations in New York. There's a wonderful organization called Caring Kind. There are places out there that they want to try to offer help for people. So call and
Yes.
don't be afraid. Don't stand on ceremony and wait for somebody to ask you if you need help. Ask for it.
That's going to wrap up my interview with Heidi. Please visit walkwithmedoc.com to learn about upcoming screenings and learn more about how you can help support the film. This also concludes today's video. Please be sure to like, comment, and share this interview. Subscribe to the channel so I can bring you more interviews like this, and follow me on social media. The links will be provided down below, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!